Japan, 32 years old. Shizuka, to pursue her dream of becoming a singer, she had to take on various side jobs to make ends meet. To earn money faster, she chose the job of a hostess. In Japan, a mama-san's main job is to drink with customers while also delivering meals in her spare time. At 11 a.m., 32-year-old Shizuka would go to a nearby soba restaurant for lunch. This lunch only costs 480 yen, which is fairly reasonable for a developed country. 2 years ago, Shizuka was still a delivery person, spending her days delivering food and singing at karaoke, but she didn't gain fame. Her performance opportunities were unstable, and she couldn't work full-time. Because sometimes she'd get called for events at short notice, she had to do various part-time jobs. At this point, Shizuka, with a large suitcase, arrived at the location for today's part-time job. This was her first time working as a mama-san, and she was a little nervous. At 1:15 p.m. before starting work, Shizuka went to a beauty salon to get a style and put on some nice makeup. These preparations were crucial and couldn't be skipped. Japan's entertainment and service industries are very developed, so these beauty salons know exactly what customers need. Her stylist Tony expertly gave her a kimono to wear, which she rented for 10,000 yen. She hoped to earn back that money today. At 4:15 p.m., Shizuka arrived at a small eatery in Shibuya, Tokyo. This restaurant was hidden on the 7th floor of a building, giving it a mysterious vibe. To save on rent, the restaurant was set up on this less visible floor. To attract customers, they sometimes invite people to drink with the guests. Once inside, Shizuka met Ling Xiang, who used to be a mama-san, but now trained part-timers. Ling Xiang was teaching Shizuka how to serve customers. For example, when handing towels, she should always give the clean side to the customer. At 5 p.m., the shop officially opened with operating hours of 4 hours. The prices here aren't too high. Men pay 5,000 yen, about $33.33, and women pay 3 yen 000, about $20, with unlimited drinks available. Of course, only a few drinks are free, and anything else costs extra. Shizuka's income is calculated at 30% of the sales, with high commissions, meaning no guaranteed base salary, so the job is highly challenging. If no one came to drink, she might not even make enough for basic wages. So Shizuka started messaging friends on social media and apps trying to get them to come support her, but unfortunately, no one showed up. Her looks weren't enough to attract customers, and she didn't have wealthy friends who would come to spend. Anxious Shizuka kept checking the door, hoping customers would come in. If no one came within the 4-hour window, she might have been the most unsuccessful mama-san in Japanese history. Luckily, a middle-aged, short and chubby man walked in. Shizuka, still nervous on her first day, was calmly guided by Ling Xiang. For example, when holding a glass, she could only hold it by the bottom, not the part the customer drinks from. Shizuka listened to the advice while working hard. Soon, a second customer came, boosting Shizuka's confidence. As more customers arrived, Shizuka became more relaxed. Her table was now full, and business was picking up. A customer then ordered an expensive bottle of champagne and offered to share it with everyone. The difference between these small eateries and bars is the space is smaller and customers can chat and play together. The mama-san sets the mood and everyone follows Shizuka's lead to enjoy the time. At 9 p.m., the shop officially closed, but Shizuka's work wasn't done yet. After drinking a lot, she was feeling wobbly, but she still had to clean the table and wipe the windows. Otherwise, she wouldn't get paid. When her work ended, Shizuka received her earnings. She made 563 in sales, with a 30% commission of 169. That's around 6,000 plus an hour, which is better than many part-timers. But after deducting the cost of the kimono, she only earned $100 that night. A Korean girl only gets 3 hours of sleep a day. She finishes work at 11 p.m. and heads straight to the convenience store to pull an all-nighter. In Korea, everything's getting more expensive, but wages are staying the same. Her name's Kim Galran. She's 32, and she juggles multiple jobs. By day, she's a web designer. By night, she works at a convenience store. She has a degree in food science, but quit her nutritionist job after just a year because her salary was only $975. In Korea, that's not even close to enough to cover the basics, let alone chase your dreams. Even though the job gave her a sense of purpose, the stress was too much. She knew she couldn't hang on forever. Young people in Korea, even though they're among the most educated in the world, with 70% of them going to college, aren't proud of it. They're actually feeling the pressure. There are way too many college grads and not enough jobs. Salaries haven't gone up. In fact, they're dropping. People are scrambling to make money, but big companies only hire the top 2% of grads. Those people make $4,200 a month, while the rest make just $1,950 a month. After her all-nighter, Kim Galran showed us her apartment. It's tiny, just a basic studio. She works part-time at the convenience store, so she can grab expired food for free or cheap. It's still good, and it helps her stretch her budget. By only sleeping 3 hours a night, she makes more money. Her monthly income is around $4,125, which is close to what top execs make. Thanks to the expired food, she spends just $15 a month on food. Rent and transportation cost $82.50, so she's able to save over $300 each month. Her dream is to open a convenience store. She plans to do it within the next year. In Korea, opening a convenience store is a popular way for young people to gain financial independence, but it also shows how hard it is to rely on just a regular paycheck. This crazy work schedule has left her exhausted, and she's making mistakes. She's worried she might get fired. Young people can't afford homes, and renting isn't much better. Before renting, you need to pay a huge deposit. In Korea, the system requires you to pay a big deposit up front, but you don't have to pay rent for a while. Now, many young people are living in basements or shipping containers. With crazy high housing prices and rent, more and more are turning to minimalist living to get by. Dr. Aray, an obstetrician from India, she only sleeps 3 hours a day at 3:13 a.m. She gets a call about a labor consultation. She arranges the patient's admission. Being a doctor, staying on call 24/7 is standard. 5:07 a.m. Just as she's about to fall asleep, the phone rings again. She's used to this by now. She calmly answers the phone. At 5:31 a.m., not sleeping was the best decision today. The phone keeps ringing. By this point, she knows it's no use trying to sleep at 6:08 a.m. After a quick rest, she gets up. Every day, there's always another call. But Dr. Aray enjoys her work. She works at the best hospital for obstetrics in India. As the head of her department, she charges 1,400 rupees per consultation. That's about 120 RMB. With her base salary, she easily makes tens of thousands a month. Her first task after getting up is to make a cup of Assam tea. It helps wake her up and gives her a moment to enjoy the morning. At 6:36 a.m., she says good morning to her parents. You can tell they live in a high-rise in India. The higher the floor, the wealthier and more prestigious the family. This lifestyle is all thanks to her parents' support. Her parents were once hospital directors too. At 7:03 a.m., after 30 years as a doctor, her body still holds up. Her secret? Yoga every day. At 8:31 a.m., she puts on her elegant doctor's coat. This outfit is a sign of high status in India. It's common for people from higher castes to wear this type of clothing. Doctors always wear their stethoscopes, even when they're off duty. It's just a habit in India. Most doctors come from higher castes. The profession tends to run in families. She gets a short break before the next round of calls and rushes off to the hospital. At 9:06 a.m., she arrives at the hospital. She's so meticulous about cleanliness, she hasn't even taken the plastic off her car seats. Anyone else know someone like that? Feel free to drop a comment. At the hospital, Dr. Aray washes her hands and changes into her white coat. She's about to help a woman give birth and perform other exams. At 9:35 a.m., she starts seeing her first patient. During labor, it's not just about checking the baby's vitals, it's also about comforting the mom, encouraging her, because babies are born, they don't just come out by themselves. At 10:15 a.m. less than an hour later, the baby is born. Every time her hands are covered in blood, it's the start of a new life, but she can't relax yet. There's another surgery coming up. Can you guess what kind of surgery it is? At 1:29 p.m., the surgery takes over 3 hours, but it's finally done. Even with years of experience, she still gets nervous after every surgery. She's not worried about failing. The worst she'd get is a punishment, but the patient's life is on the line. That's the real fear at 2:02 p.m. and she can't even think about lunch right now. She's about to see another patient. This one's a tough case with a skin issue. When she finishes with her patients, she realizes it's already 3:33 p.m. Having lunch at this time is totally normal. She heads to the hospital cafeteria. The place is super clean. The hospital has high hygiene standards. No mess here. She's a big fan of curry, and more Indians are using spoons to eat now. Curry with rice is actually really tasty. At 4:02 p.m. in addition to her hospital job, she also works at a private clinic. With her reputation, she sets her own schedule. She's the boss of the clinic, one of the best in town. At 6:07 p.m., she keeps working, providing consultations for patients. Her fee is much higher than in public hospitals, 500 RMB per visit. The walls are filled with awards and trophies. Juggling is India's third largest city for capital investment. 9:09 p.m. her day finally ends. She thought it was a patient calling, but it's her husband picking her up. Dr. Aray makes a high income by Indian standards. Her income is among the highest in the medical field in India. The pressure at work means she barely gets any rest. Her life is far from easy. Martina, 30, from the UK makes £760 a month, but owes £5,000 all because of inflation and energy price hikes from the war. A lot of people have lost their jobs too. To pay it off, she's studying criminology and psychology and working night shifts at a supermarket. She works until 6 a.m. even with so much debt. Her quality of life hasn't changed. She still drinks coffee with 6 kinds of sugar, says it's healthier that way. She used to live it up. Now things are rough, her debt's not going down. It's only getting worse, including energy bills, rent and council tax. So the creditors started taking £70 a month from her pay. If she doesn't pay, they'll just take more until her life is a mess. Let's see if she can still enjoy that coffee. Now, she can't even top up her energy account. Her electricity balance is 6 pence. Gas is in the negative. Even after hitting rock bottom, she says she's already cutting everything she can. There's nothing more to save. She had to ask a citizen advice service to help figure out a solution. Right now, the biggest problem is the eviction notice she just got. She hasn't paid rent in months. Martina doesn't want to declare bankruptcy. She wants to fix this. She didn't think like this when drinking coffee before. Now she's scared. The advisor, Jenny, said, "Don't do anything when you get the eviction notice. Just pass it to us. Let's see if we can fix this." After Martina left, Jenny thought, the chances of fixing this were slim, worst case bankruptcy and a fresh start. They're just an advisory service, not a lender. If you don't save enough in summer, you'll have no food in winter and only yourself to blame. Jenny advised Martina to join the IV program to bundle all her debts together and extend the repayment period. Though the eviction has been paused, her wage deductions are still in place. She decided to call and ask. The response was, "It's a punishment for not paying your debts, and it lasts a year." Martina was speechless. But if she had known earlier, she wouldn't have gotten here. Ilona works as a postwoman in Germany. She earns just €1,200 a month. Her meals are mostly oatmeal and canned salad. Prices keep going up. A cauliflower costs €3.5. 4 peppers cost €4. She gets a widow's pension of €500 per month. She works 35 hours a week. Her hourly wage is €10.6. She's still considered middle to lower class. Her electric and heating bills add up to €160 a month. Rent, phone, and internet total €700. She also has to pay off her dad's loan and buy food, which costs €625. She plans to spend just €100 on medicine, supplies, clothes, and shoes. To save, she never eats out. She always cooks lunch at home. It's usually oatmeal. It fills her up. While many foreigners are on vacation, Ilona hasn't traveled in 10 years. Low-income people like her make up 30% of Germany. After walking her dog, she takes the bus to work. Her monthly transport pass costs 100 euros. If things go well, she might have 15 euros left at the end of the month. She buys discounted ice cream for her granddaughter, but usually plans don't go as expected, and by month's end she's broke or in debt. Since the 1980s, national income has gone up by 53%, but it hasn't been evenly distributed. The average living space per person has grown by 50 square meters, but only the rich live in big houses. They live in places of 200 square meters, while renters are stuck in 30-something square meter apartments. Germany now has over 40 million cars, but half of low-income people still don't own one. Meanwhile, the wealthy usually have 2 cars, or even more. Ilona's dad used to be a postman. In the 1980s, he earned 2,500 marks, which equals 2,600 euros today. He got vacation time, year-end bonuses, and double pay. He even got an allowance for shoes. His pension was 1,800 euros a month, which is more than Ilona makes now. Back then, her dad could support the whole family on his own. He only had to deliver 30 letters a day, way easier than now. Parents back then thought their kids would have it even better. But then the economic crisis hit, and the government ran out of money. Soon after, most state-owned companies outsourced and privatized. Overnight, civil servants became regular employees, and their high wages turned into minimum wage pay. Even though her pay went down, Ilona is grateful to her boss. At least she can work until retirement. Her work environment is decent. Compared to many others, she's doing a lot better. But even so, she and her colleagues can't afford to eat lunch out. They bring their own food. One colleague collects bottles, turns them in for recycling money. Many people in Germany look down on that, but it's a tough situation. Her one luxury now is going out for a cappuccino with friends once a week. That's her way to relax. To make more money, she took on a bigger role after a year. Now she's a warehouse manager. Here, managers don't have much power. In addition to delivering mail, Ilona now handles warehouse inventory, returns, and other tasks. Her salary went up to 1,500 euros plus 150 euros in allowances. Although her pay increased, this year's inflation is the worst. Food and energy prices have gone up 20%, so she buys the same amount as last year, but has to work harder for it. It's like working harder for less. Now, she sticks to a budget when grocery shopping. If her budget is high, she can buy fresh vegetables and fruits. If it's low, she has to settle for cheap, discounted fish and shrimp. Tonight's dinner is canned salad. Even though she now makes 12 euros an hour, her meals are worse than some people in developing countries. This is all due to the growing wealth gap. The rich don't feel the pinch, while the poor are hit hard by inflation. That's why their lives just keep getting worse. It's not just privatization, but also the fact that in the early 2000s, Germany had 5 million unemployed. To win elections, politicians promised everyone a job, so they set a minimum wage. Anyone who was unemployed could get a low-paying job. Many companies didn't need that many workers, but low wages created a cheap workforce. Unemployment was solved, but it just created another problem. As soon as prices rise, the poor face homelessness. Ilona saves on rent by living in a converted shipping container. The fridge is still empty, but the house is made of wood, so it feels like camping, close to nature. The ceiling is basic. It's a tough choice. This 17 square meter place costs 100,000 euros. Ilona can't afford to buy it, so she has to keep renting. The good thing is, there's a large window with a sea view. At least she has a sea view apartment.